What is going on, Eagle fans everywhere? I think to like yesterday and today, like what kind of holiday like should we call this, man? Because like I feel like it's Christmas slash New Year slash my birthday slash the best day of my life the past couple of days. But anyways, welcome to the showdown with my co-host, King DV over here. Talk to
Indeed, you know
me,
what it
talk
is
to me,
already.
King.
Oh
What
man,
is going on? How you
I
feeling,
remember
man? How you
yesterday.
feeling? Your favorite player is gone.
Negative. That was your favorite player. You was taking up for him the most. I told you mid-season, but it got done earlier. It got
I
earlier
told you
than
mid-season also. I mean,
I
hey,
said.
depending how you do.
He's going to be going mid-season. But I thought it was hilarious that Howie Roseman was saying that the scouts was saying that he practiced every day. He showed up, and he deserved to be on this roster. And then the next day, we get hit with this news.
Hey, what did you expect him to say? Like what Jerry Jones said? Hey, we're looking for a trade partner for Amari Cooper because we try and get rid of Amari Cooper. No, that's when you lose your value. But we'll get into all that, man, because we do have a special guest waiting in the back to talk about this big trade that went down yesterday. And I know he is living. I can't, you know what? The floor is going to be his. I ain't going to say nothing. I want you to rant as much as you can. What is going on, Jeff? Welcome.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on,
Jeff?
Jeff?
I'm good, man. So, hey, before we get started, just, just let them know a little bit about you, what you're working on, what you do, all that good stuff. And then we're going to get to the hot topic of the day.
Yeah, is there something to talk about? I don't even know. Yeah, so I'm a digital sports producer over at WWL Radio, Odyssey Sports down in New Orleans. I cover the Saints. Was just in there hanging out with all these guys today, so that's always fun to do. It's a weird time, CJ was such a big part of this locker room. It's like just kind of like shell shock with all these guys. But yeah, I host a podcast, Inside Black and Gold. I don't know if anyone who listens to your podcast would have any interest whatsoever in a Saints podcast.
I listen to yours actually because we do
want to
play
really
the
find
Saints.
out what's going on. Apparently, the Eagles are very interested in what's going on with the Saints these days, so maybe it's worth it. And you can check out coverage over at WWL.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. I grew up a Giants fan, so I find it very easy to troll the Eagles. I just have to say that out front. But yeah, I'll do my best to keep that at a minimum. Because what do the Giants have to say? They've been terrible for how many years? So there's not much I can go off there. But yeah, that's the rundown on me. I grew up in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area, and I've been down here for the last 6 years. So it's I don't have an accent, as you can tell.
Yo, it's all good, man. It's all good. But thank you for coming on the stream. I know it was last minute, but then I was just scrolling through Twitter. I'm like, let me listen to what you gotta say. And then it was very interesting. So I'm like, hey, just let me reach out, bring him on here because yesterday the big news broke, that the Philadelphia Eagles, traded for CJ. I mean, what was going through your mind when this news broke yesterday?
What was going through my mind? Well, The first reaction I had was, CJ's a guy, he's kind of like, so the first thing to know about CJ is he has like 7 names. Chauncey is not a name he goes by. He goes by CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he prefers to be called CD Deuce, which is a strange thing, but it exists. I think he's going to actually try to wear 23 for y'all, because so that makes his Twitter handle make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's a fascinating guy. He's, everyone kind of is aware of his kind of role as an agitator, right? If you go back to the 2020 season, he got 2 Bears wide receivers ejected for punching him, and he didn't even draw a penalty on one of those. Like, he just like chain snatched Javon Wims. That's what actually led to that. Is he grabbed his mouthpiece and yanked it, and then Javon Wims
I saw that
came back and like sucker punched him in the helmet, and then Jack Rabbit Jenkins like jumped on the pile. Like, it was the most bizarre thing. And then in the playoffs, I think it might have been Anthony Miller. who punched him. Either way, I mean, that's CJ in a nutshell. And I know he got aggravated with the media a good bit because, when stuff like that happens, we want to go talk to him about it. And I think that a lot of Saints fans really liked him for his ability to do that, but he was always annoyed. That's like, why do you guys always talk to me about this and not, in his words, why he's the best slot corner in the NFL. So the thing that struck me first is if you think we're giving you a hard time, you gotta have a rude awakening up north. They throw batteries at people. They do
man.
But no, I really did like CJ. I think he was misunderstood a lot of the time, and he's just a guy who wants everyone to play as hard as possible 100% of the time. So at practice a few weeks back, as Vincent Gray, who's on the Saints practice squad now, and he just got beat on a route, and CJ comes over and just straight up just yells at him. He's like, "Hey, little bro, you're playing lazy as." And I was like, this is in front of the fans and the media and the coaches, and he's just cursing this guy out. But it's that's CJ, that's his kind of thing, and you're gonna experience it. He can't. He's hard to miss. So I think he's gonna fit right in up there in Philly.
But look, the thing is, hey, this is the type of attitude that we want. AJ Brown, he brought that aggressiveness, that shit talking, up in your face. He's on Twitter, defending Jalen Hurts. That's the type of attitude we want. We just don't want us to cost us a game. At the worst time, he get a 15-yard penalty. That's the big thing for me. But
that's always been the wild thing about CJ is he went through the entire in the season where taunting was this huge thing and they were calling taunting penalties. He didn't get one. This guy, of all the people, to not draw a taunting penalty, that was the most amazing thing. He is a ninja at just planting time bombs in people's heads. So Javon Wims is the guy who punched him in that first game against the Bears that year, and he got ejected. Right. And in the playoff game, they ran a trick play, and Mitch Trubisky throws a dime to Javon Wims running by himself down the field, and he just drops it. And I'm like, you will not be able to convince me that CJ wasn't playing defense inside this guy's head.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I've always said, if the NFL offered a mic'd up pay-per-view for this guy, I would pay for that 10 times over. But yeah, it is always a fine line. You got to be careful. It's his trash talking is legendary.
All right, so what went wrong with the Saints? He is considered one of the best nickel corners in the game. He could play a lot of different positions. I watch his highlights. He's always blitzing. He's not afraid to stick his nose up in the running back, through the holes, tripping him up. What went wrong with the Saints? How come they traded him for oodles and noodles? And we got more for Jalen Reagor, which, we're going to go talk to it later. But, what happened? What happened?
So, and this is what, I have a feeling you saw my tweet that kind of, what aggravated me about this scenario is it wasn't a salary cap issue. I had a few people coming at me saying, oh, it's a salary cap mismanagement problem. That's not it. It's more of a fundamental roster building thing where the Saints don't see slot corner, especially. So CJ for the Saints only played slot corner. He did not play safety. He really just 100% of the time was in the slot, and there's value there. Okay. And every NFL team runs a slot receiver Kyle Pitts, right? These guys, these are guys you have to have a way to cover, and you need a physical corner who's going to get up in these guys' grills and make life difficult on them. And that's what he was. Now, the Saints are really deep at cornerback, and I don't think that they see the value in that position to the point where CJ's looking for a $10 to $12 million deal, and they just didn't. I don't think they saw that as a viable contract, and so he's going into his final year, and I think what they were hoping is that he would just play it out and not be a nuisance, not be a locker room problem. But what aggravates me is CJ, everything about this player, and you should have seen this scenario coming. And what ended up happening was he got to the end of training camp. It was clear he wasn't going to get a deal. And, he was holding in. He didn't hold out, but he withheld practice reps. Reports are he wasn't taking coaching. I never saw that on the field, but I can understand it. And so it got to the point where the Saints knew they had to trade him. And, y'all are the beneficiaries of that because it was mishandled because if you knew this was going to be the case and you were not going to pay him, how did you ever think that he was just going to be like a good sport about that? Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the issue to me. It's like they made this big trade for another first round pick back before the draft with the team you ended up trading CJ to. And did this ever come up then? I doubt it. And to me, that is the big issue of you rode this out to the point that it was beyond return, beyond repair, and then had to sell him for pennies on the dollar. Because you just could not manage it. And from the Saints perspective, I think that they feel like Bradley Roby, Justin Evans, some of these guys can step in the slot, but it's really frustrating because he was such an important part of that defense. And to see him just kind of unceremoniously just thrown to another team, it's rough. But I get it from CJ's perspective. I think that, I'm very much pro player in this type of situation because this guy was a 4th round pick. He's played 3 years. And from CJ's perspective, you have to think he's saying, you got my services for 3 years at a huge discount. A 4th round pick, he's netted $3 million over the course of his first 3 years in the NFL. And well, for me, that would be a ton of money, obviously.
Yeah.
For an NFL player, it's nothing. You don't have guarantees. He could blow out his knee and he never gets that deal. And so, I understand why he's you guys have benefited from this for 3 years now. Now I'm going to do me. And it didn't work out. But, I wish him the best of luck. I really do like CJ. I think he's a great player. I think he's a very misunderstood guy. And I've enjoyed covering him. He's one of the more fascinating people I've covered since I've been doing this.
But do you think that Malcolm Jenkins, he retired last season? Y'all lost Marcus Williams, another dog in in the backfield. I mean, do you think that those guys that y'all losing with Nicky's point, do you think the Saints are sellers? I mean, because the Philadelphia Eagles do have the Saints' 1st round pick. So we're hoping that y'all sellers, we're hoping that they tank this whole season. But I mean, where do you see the Saints going from here?
Well, so, the point you bring up is the reason that they're not going to be sellers. You don't tank if you don't have a 1st round pick, right? So if they were considering, okay, this is the rebuild year. This is the year the Falcons are going to have. The Falcons are going to be atrocious. They might not win 3 games. You don't trade pick. If you think that's the case, they traded the 1st round pick because they felt like this was going to be a competitive roster. They didn't want to waste the defense, and this defense, even without CJ, is still going to be a top 5 unit, I think. So you lost Malcolm Jenkins, you lost Marcus Williams, but you brought in Tyrann Mathieu, who might be the top safety in the NFL. You signed Marcus May, who I think is an underrated player. And you have Marshawn Lattimore and, Paulson Adebo at the other cornerback spot, who has been excellent. So I think that I don't think that they think they're sellers. And so, that pick might end up being a good pick, but they're going to make every effort to make sure it's not. So I wouldn't hold my breath thinking, oh, they're not going to try to win this year, because this is a team that is operating and very much thinks it's going to end up in the playoffs.
Oh man, Nicky is on it. I'm convinced the Saints only exist to develop safeties for us. We got Malcolm Jenkins and we got CJ. Hopefully he can be as good as Malcolm Jenkins was.
Malcolm, CJ. Yeah. The interesting thing with CJ is, so the reports are indicating that they're going to use him as more of a safety. And I think that's something that he wanted, because he wants to showcase that he can be more than just a slot corner. So I am interested to see how he holds up there, because I don't think he's a free safety. I think he's probably a strong safety, but
one of those box safety that's come down.
Round that out, I think he has a chance to be one of these top paid guys.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. So, I mean, just give me a bold prediction. The Eagles do play the Saints this season.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Saints being record-wise, or competing for the division? And who's the quarterback for the Saints?
Oh, it's Jameis Winston.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's healthy. He looks good. He got his first preseason action against the Chargers. He went 4 for 4, led a touchdown drive. He looked good. And this is going to be a defensive team. So it's going to be a question of, okay, how good can this defense be and how much can Jameis supplement that? Now, you've added Jarvis Landry. You're getting Michael Thomas back theoretically. We haven't seen him practice for a while, so everyone's getting
2
nervous
years,
again.
though.
That's how it works for him. But you still have Alvin Kamara. The biggest question to me is, does Alvin get suspended? Because
yes,
he is such an important piece of that offense that if you lose him for 6 games, you're going to have a hard time. But I do think that he's, there's a good chance that his suspension doesn't hit until next season because his court case is still nowhere near completed, and the NFL typically doesn't levy discipline until the end. But from a divisional standpoint,
yeah,
I don't know if I can remember a weaker NFC South in terms of, the Falcons, like I said, might not win 3 games. I have no idea what the Panthers are going to be doing. I guess Baker Mayfield's their starter. We'll find out.
They got Baker.
Yeah, and then Tom Brady now doesn't have an offensive line, and he's been hanging out in Bermuda or whatever for the last 3 weeks. I have no idea what to think about that team. So just from that perspective, there's a lot of free wins there. If you sweep the Panthers and the Falcons, you already got 4 wins.
Okay.
And you're a third of the way to the playoffs, right? So, I think that that I pegged them at between 10 and 11 wins just, before the CJ trade. I think the trade probably pushes them closer to 10 in my projections, but I think it's going to come down to how good is Jameis Winston, and if he plays like an elite quarterback, like a number 1 overall pick, which, that's the top end. I think that they could be a very interesting team to watch, and it's all going to come down to the middle of the season and these matchups with the Cardinals, the Bengals, the Vikings. No, not the Vikings. Oh yeah, they do have the Vikings. They're playing the Vikings in London. The Steelers, these
the Eagles,
the Rams. These
Eagles,
are teams that if you beat
Eagles.
them, all of a sudden you're a contender. If you lose to them, all of a sudden you're just at the bottom end of the playoffs, and you're just trying to sneak in. So I think that's really the question. I think they are a very capable team to make the playoffs. I'm just not sure if they're a team that has like realistic aspirations to win a Super Bowl. And that part of it's going to come down to how good Jameis Winston can be and how effective he can be with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and those guys.
All right, so a couple more questions. So Sean Payton, look, a lot of people think that he ran because Drew Brees retired and he did not have no quarterback. What was the whole thing behind Sean Payton leaving the Saints high and dry? He done paid a Taysom Hill top quarterback money when he wasn't really a quarterback. But what went wrong with Sean Payton? Have him say, you know what, man, I'm done. I'm just gonna walk away. Was it a plan all along, or was he tied to Drew Brees or him not having a quarterback?
It definitely wasn't a plan all along. It blindsided people, no question. Like the team, the coaches did not know until maybe a couple days before. So I mean, it was not like this long-term thing. I think, Sean, this is what Sean said, and I believe him. I think he was just burnt out. With COVID, you were already kind of on the edge. You lost Drew Brees, and so you're trying to work your way through that. It's easy to forget, but last year, this time, the Saints were displaced. The Saints were in Houston because of Hurricane Ida. And so it was also a season where you started 58 different players. It was an NFL record.
Yeah,
so I think that season, more than anything else, just drained him. And he was probably on the edge of maybe retiring at that point. He comes from the Bill Parcells school of, leave a place better than you found it. He's like, Bill Parcells quit 2 different teams.
Yeah.
And that's where I think he was coming at it. Like, I don't think he felt like he had the energy to kind of really give this team what it needed. And I think that's what it was about. Now, I expect him to get back into coaching, if not this next year, then soon. And the question is then going to be, okay, what kind of assets can the Saints get from whatever team tries to sign him? Because he's still under contract. They would have to technically trade for him. So that's going to be the interesting thing. And I think that's part of why they were okay with giving up that first-round pick to y'all, because they expect to get some compensation back for Sean down the road. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily because of losing Drew Brees, but I think losing Drew Brees and finding out what life was like when you don't have that franchise quarterback definitely, it weighs on you quick. And I think that he did leave the team in a good place, and he left it. And this team is still very much influenced by Sean, in that you have, Dennis Allen was a defensive coordinator. The two co-defensive coordinators now were there under Dennis Allen. Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator. All these guys were around. So, it's probably similar to what it would be like if Bill Belichick ever left the Patriots, where you have this entire tree of coaches that's ready.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's tough. We had a dinner with Sean, and he was honest. Like, he was just beat. He was tired. And if you saw Sean on TV, he looks like a new man. He looks like he's been like dipped in the fountain of youth. Coaching takes that out of you. And I think that's really what it was at the end of the day.
So my last question for you is Michael Thomas. I mean, what went wrong with Michael Thomas the past 2 years? I know that he got hurt against week 3 with the Bucks, and they were up at that time. He got hurt. Ever since then, last year he just took a whole year off, had surgery before the season start. Like, what went wrong with Michael Thomas, one of the best wide receivers at that time? When he decided to, I don't know what happened, so I'm not going to assume.
So yeah, the injury came against the Bucks in week 1. Actually, it was
okay.
It was the season opener, Tom Brady in the Superdome, and the frustrating thing is the injury came while he was blocking late in the game on a play that didn't matter. The game was over, and he just got his ankle rolled up on, and he went on IR, and he missed. Actually, I don't think he went on IR, but he missed, I think, 6 weeks, and ironically came back against the Bucks. And I think what really cost Mike in the end is he's not a guy who gets hurt a lot. I think he missed 1 game in his first 5 NFL seasons, or maybe 4 NFL seasons. So he's a guy who plays through stuff. And I think it was Drew's last season, and he wanted to get out there. And so he played through an injury that he probably shouldn't have tried to play through. And then you could see as the season wore on, it just got worse and worse and worse until in that playoff loss to the Bucks, he didn't catch a pass. And if Michael Thomas is on the field not catching a pass, Michael Thomas isn't actually on the field. That's just a guy who looks like him. And he said this year he was basically playing on one leg. And for a guy who was playing on one leg, he put up some actually decent numbers in some of these games, considering Taysom Hill was quarterback.
Exactly.
And then so last year got weird because he was supposed to have surgery. Like, the team expected him to have surgery after the end of the season. And it was reported that he was going to have surgery. But what Mike told us is he went to a doctor, he got a second opinion, and the second opinion was you don't have to have surgery. You can let this heal naturally and you can avoid it. And I think he's just a guy who doesn't, he had never had surgery like that, and he just wanted to avoid it because surgeries, I don't like having surgery. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is he got to mini camp and his leg was still jacked up, and the Saints were like, well, what the hell? And then he went and had surgery, right? So this was like June, and the season's coming up. So you're already at the point where you're having surgery and you're going to miss part of the season. And so the team was really not happy about that. There were some stories written that Mike wasn't communicating with him and blah, blah, blah. And so that was where you kind of got to the point of, okay, he might ask for a trade and this and that. They eventually kind of smoothed that over and he stuck around, but he had a setback from that surgery and he never got on the field. So that's where last season went. He missed the entire season. Now this year, he was out there for the first day of training camp. Like, we didn't
and
see
look
him
good.
at GH. We didn't see him at mini camp. And then he started the season on the PUP list. And we were all like, what the hell? Like, he was supposed to be back. Where is he? And Dennis and Mickey both said, like, he'll be back soon. He'll be back soon. This was the day before camp started. Well, we get out there the first day of camp, and we don't see Mike. I think he was hiding behind somebody. And then all of a sudden, we were all watching like walkthroughs, like taking attendance. And we see, number 13 sprint out to the side of the field. And he's like, oh, he's back. What the hell? And he's looked good. He has looked very good. I don't know exactly how close he is to the, 149 catch season, Michael Thomas, right? Like the best receiver in football. If you want to, you want to say he runs a lot of slants, whatever. He caught 149 passes. That ain't normal. I think he's, he might be 80%, 85% of that, right? But even then, that is, probably a top 10 receiver in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And he's looked good throughout camp. He hasn't played in the preseason, and he's missed the last week of practice with, DA said a little bit of a hamstring, whatever the hell that means. But I think I think it's more rest right now. you're in the open week, and I would expect to see him back on the field. It doesn't sound significant, so I would expect to see him in practice next week. And if what we saw in camp isn't a mirage, I think you're going to see a guy who, if you take him in like the 5th round of a fantasy draft, I think you're going to make some hay on that because he's gonna contribute. He's too crazy not to. I kind of compare him to Michael Jordan in the sense that like Michael Jordan was always a guy who was better when he felt like everyone was against him, who like they were doubting him, and he was like, "Fine, I'll come back and win 3 more championships." I think Mike is that same way where. He's great not because he's this like, incredible athlete. He's great because he's crazy and he works harder than everybody else. The same reason Joe Burrow was great. And the same reason I think Michael Jordan was great. He's naturally talented, but he's got that chip on his shoulder that never goes away, and he'll make up reasons for it not to go away. And so I think I'm excited to see what Mike has to offer this year, and hopefully he can be healthy because football is better when the stars are healthy. And last year the stars were definitely not healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, thank you very much. I would definitely have you back on because the Eagles do play the Saints this year.
Every year. Why do they play every year? I don't get it.
So far, Jalen Hurts is what, 2-0, I think, or 3-0?
2-0
against the Saints, or 2-0 against the Saints.
Are a big part
they was calling it in the chat 3-0. I seen that.
Huh? You said about the Saints what?
I think the Saints are a big part of what won Jalen Hurts that job. I mean, geez, like they make that kid look like Joe Namath out there.
That's fact. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, they have not figured out how to stop him. The wild thing when the Saints played in 2020, they had not allowed a 100-yard rusher in like 3 seasons, and Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts both rushed for 100 yards that day. And for whatever reason, the Saints just can't figure out Nick Sirianni. So we'll see in Week 17, and I'm sure CJ is going to want to talk about that.
Absolutely. And last season, I was at the stadium when Jalen Hurts broke whoever ankles, and he scored 3 touchdowns, like 3 rushing touchdowns by himself. Once again, we'll see this year though. But I do believe that the Saints will be a lot better than most people think. I'm just hoping that they're not, because our draft pick, our 1st round draft pick, is tied to the Saints. But I would definitely have you back on before that matchup because I got to hear about how the Saints season going. Of course, I want you to talk your trash against the Eagles, so I can't wait for that week.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, so before you leave, man, hey, just let them know where they can find you at and your Gold and Black podcast that you are on.
It's called Inside Black and Gold.
Yes.
It's a bi-weekly podcast. When the season starts, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I cover the team, so we get a lot of content from inside the locker room. I get a lot of exclusive interviews. So we just started this about a month ago, and it's going pretty well. So I really do enjoy that. And if you're looking for any new Saints content for whatever reason, it's over at wwl.com and Odyssey. So check that out for sure.
All right, look, appreciate you. Hey, Eagles fan, go be nosy. Hey, go learn about your enemies, man. That's how I was raised. You have to learn about your enemies so you could have an advantage. So we'll see if listen to your Black and Gold could get some advantage.
Even if you don't want to listen, just go and give us a 5-star rating. That's always I'll never complain about that.
Well, look, hey, you definitely got mine. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Hey, I hit you up on Twitter. All right.
Yep, sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right. Eagle fans, we had the inside scoop on CJ, the type of player he is, what he's about, and I guarantee you, doing that matchup, week whatever it is, when we play the Saints, CJ is probably gonna get ejected. He's about to go after the Saints, firsthand. But hey, without further ado, man, I know a lot of y'all heard today that Jalen Reagor is no longer a Philadelphia Eagle. He got traded to the Vikings for I believe a 2023 7th round pick in a 20. Huh? No.
Wasn't it a 5th?
No. 2023
right.
7th round pick in a 2024 5th round pick that could be bumped up to a 4th, depending on Jalen Reagor's stats. And we know Jalen Reagor stats is like JJ Arcega-Whiteside, like the Seahawks trying to find some highlight reel. It doesn't exist. But let's just hope that this upcoming season he at least do decent enough to get us a 4th round pick. So, King, talk to me. You one of the biggest Jalen Reagor hater. So talk to me. How you feel about him being traded to the Vikings, standing next to Justin Jefferson? Before you go, Howie Roseman is a cold-blooded killer. How the hell you trade J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to the Seahawks to stand next to DK Metcalf, and then you turn around and traded Jalen Reagor to go stand next to Justin Jefferson, 2 wide receivers that you literally passed on, and now they both and JJ got cut. So talk to me.
I could not wait to get on this video with you today because you was the main one saying that you wanted him to do good and everything like that. He had 2 years to do that. He let the Eagles fans down. Period. This is why everybody's excited that he's gone. People on Twitter was calling him number 18. But that's either here or there. I watched a couple of Vikings podcasters on YouTube, and one of them named Purple FTW Podcast or whatever. And then also was one named Randy something. Anyway, they got Reagor at number 5 receiver over there. So you answer this question for me. So the whole time he was getting compared to Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, one of the Vikings podcasters said that they wanted Reagor over Jefferson because they thought that he was just going to be a slot wide receiver and things like that.
Okay.
But my question to you is, how would you feel if somebody you got compared to that was doing way better than you, and now you on the team with him, now you got to see it in person? That's going to mess up your mental, right?
Look, to me, that's not my problem. My problem is it's my job. If I don't make this, I don't get paid. So, but not a lot of people like me, though. I'm mentally tough. You know what I mean? I'm an ex-soldier. So, of course, I'm mentally tougher than a lot of most people. But if I'm Jalen Reagor, look, it's all about you catching a check, okay? It's not about, everybody wanted Jefferson and they traded for me and blah, blah, blah. You go out and you try to do the best you can. Is he that mentally tough? I said that he came to training camp a lot more, happier, and his mindset was right. So I don't know how he's going to handle this whole situation of getting traded. But I did hear that when the news came down that he was getting traded, he was in the locker room. He did get a chance to say goodbye to a few players. So to me, that's a guy that couldn't wait. What?
We gave him his ticket also, and then he flew to Minnesota.
I mean, hey, look. To me, that sounds like a guy that was ready to leave Philly, and he's probably more happier because he left Philly. Like, seriously, he probably is. Hey, Jalen Reagor, and just like you said, the Vikings may have won him, ahead of Jefferson. You know why? Because they thought that the Eagles was going to, draft Jefferson.
Right. Would have made the smart choice.
But that's the only reason why.
But so they got Justin Jefferson, Thielen, KJ Osborne, the 3 receivers. That's the 3 receivers for the Minnesota Vikings. Then they got Smith. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. They got him over Jalen Reagor. So now they saying that maybe, and then mind you, these podcasters couldn't even pronounce Reagor's name right. They were saying Reagor and Reagor and all that. And I'm like, no, that's not how you say it. But, that's where he wanted to be. So now mentally, after dealing with us for about 2.5 years, going into his 3rd year, now you got to deal with that. You got to deal with
that. But the Vikings fans in the media is not like no Philly fans or the Philly
I understand
media.
that. No, I understand that. But mentally, you got to see who you was being compared to by media, by Twitter, by everything that you were on.
He been saw that though, so he's used to it. Like he had 3 years to hear from us, so it doesn't really. So it's nothing new. It's not like, oh my God, this is the guy right here you always been getting compared to. He know who Justin Jefferson is. So I mean, this is not breaking news for him.
Everybody know who Jay Jetta is. Everybody know who Jay Jetta is. But
okay,
what I'm saying to you is, his mentality is screwed. First year, he said that
thinking that it's screwed.
It came out his mouth, bro.
When? What, last week?
Listen, no. When
or 2 years ago.
When he got interviewed after one of the training camp days, he got on there and said that he wasn't in his right mental state. I think it was year 1 or year 2. I knew he was overweight one of those years also. He wasn't even in his right state of mind.
Okay, but this year, I'm not talking about 2 years ago.
No, listen.
I'm not see, you stuck on the past, bro. See, that's the problem, man. We stuck on the past. What happened to him this training camp?
You asked me a question and let me get there. You said, how do
I
feel?
I'm waiting.
Feel great. I feel great that he's gone.
Okay.
He was a thorn on the side of my, you know what? Because of fumbles, kickoff fumbles, letting the ball go when he had a clear lane to run, but he letting the ball go, and then we end up at the 1 to 3 yard line, things like that. Little things like that cost us that comeback. You said this last week, or no?
I said yesterday. I said that might because we might have been closer to coming back if he didn't fumble the ball, but at the same time. Okay, the Tampa Bay Buck game happened. I was talking about this offseason. This dude was only 23 years old. Do we know that Jalen Reagor is only 23 years old? He suffered multiple deaths close to him back-to-back years. That's number one. And now you have to, I have an echo. I hear an echo. Me talking.
Got an echo?
So now, look. Why am I hearing myself?
Hold up.
Like, do you have something on here?
Hold up.
But I hear it. Still hear myself.
Hold up.
But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna continue. But look, so imagine, Jalen Reagor was not supposed to be drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles. We all know that. That was Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, the head coach at the time, with Doug Peterson, fault for trying to draft him, a third-round receiver in the first round. That wasn't his fault. I get it. But at the same time, he did not have – the Philadelphia Eagles are bad in developing players. Do y'all know that Barnett is on a better track record than Brandon Graham right now? Did y'all know that Derek Barnett, he's stealing right now where Brandon Graham was at in his 5th year? He's higher than our beloved BG, because the Eagle players take time to develop. They take time to develop. Russell Douglas, he left. Boom. He's signed a multi-year deal to stay with the Packers. Mac Hollins. As soon as he left the Eagles, he was getting these opportunities to catch the ball more frequently. So now he started making not a lot of catches, but big-time catches when he was called upon. So I'm just saying that we draft these guys so high because of the stupid GM and coaches at the time that want to be smarter than everybody else. And now when they become a bust, we blame the players. You are a 3rd-round pick. You're supposed to be drafted in the 3rd round, not the 1st round. That's why we are so mad at fans of Jalen Reagor. You're a 1st-round pick. You a bust. He didn't ask to be drafted in the 1st round. His stats wasn't good enough to be drafted in the 1st round. He went to TCU. Yes, he probably had some higher, offers somewhere else, but he didn't ask for all that. So that's what we got to be mindful. This dude is 23 years old, back-to-back deaths every offseason, and then he expects to come play football and put that behind him. How many people could do that? Man, I know some 40 years old that is still processing the death of several people at 40. This dude's 23. That's why I say give him a chance, because we got rid of too many people that we saw go on and have a okay, season. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead, man.
Do you think? No, going off of what you just said, do you think that's more on the Eagles knowing about his personal life?
Oh yeah.
Than him?
Yes. Because you don't know what
you think Howie handled it wrong to the point where we didn't give him a fair chance.
So many people said that the scout department told Howie to draft Justin Jefferson, but they had something else in mind. Say, you know what? No, I'm not going to listen to y'all. I'm going to draft this guy. Nobody told Howie to draft Jalen Reagor. You know what I mean?
You know why he went after him?
A gadget player.
Yeah.
Eagles love gadget players. You know what I mean? The little quick screen, though, like every wide receiver we ever really had was a small wide receiver. Jackson was small, fragile, but he was a deep threat. Macklin was solid, but he was a big body wide receiver. Mac Hollins, he was supposed to be that big body wide receiver, but he never had an opportunity to get on the field. Like every big body wide receiver we got that we brought in at free agents delivered. Alshon Jeffrey, T.O. went to a Super Bowl. Alshon Jeffrey, and now A.J. Brown. So those are the type of big body wide receiver that we all wanted at Philly, but these coaches always drafting these gadget wide receivers, which kind of screw us all, and over. So, but let me see. So we got a lot of questions here real quick. Yeah. All right, so Richard, Jason Peters is getting interviewed by the Cowboys. Okay, all right, real quick, man. We're not going to stay on this long. JP to the Cowboys, how would you feel?
JP, he always going to be loved by us. But at the end of the day, he got to do what he got to do. I don't think he's going to make the team, though. He's 40 years old. I don't think he's going to make the team, but the Cowboys are desperate right now, man. And it's laughable. It's very laughable. And to the point where I got content creators of the Cowboys sitting up there saying, hey, it's something. That's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, desperate times. I'm telling you right now, the only reason the last time I saw JP and Midnight Green, he was limping off the field, bro. Like this dude was done 3 years ago, but he chose to stick around, go to the Bears. And somebody told me, well, he was the 20th ranked left tackle. There's 32 teams in the league. So only 12 guys he's better at. You know what I mean? So he was the 20th rank. Okay, I promise you this. If the Dallas Cowboys happen to sign JP, he will add on to their most penalized team because he's slow. I love JP, but he don't have it anymore. He's slow. He could be a rotational, guy maybe once in a while, but a full-time starter going against these fast dude, the Bosa, the Michael Parsons, Hassan Reddick, the Thibodeaux. You're not going. The Chase Young. You're not going. He's not that dude anymore. He's not that guy anymore. So I'm praying to God, just as that the Cowboys do bring him in, sign him, and to realize that, hey, maybe the Eagles was right to let him go, but it is what it is. A Jock Talk, Eagles got more for Reagor than Cooper. Yes, absolutely. Risha might go.
That's Reagor. He corrected it. So Reagor might go put it down.
Yeah, look. I'm cheering for Reagor. We need a 4th round pick. See, that's the thing. See, you're thinking emotional. Stop thinking emotionally. Think with our picks. Our 4th round pick, a 5th to a 4th. Yo, hey, the next thing you know, we could bump that 4th to a 3rd. You know how we be doing it? So he can get his little 500 yards, 3-5
I'm joking.
touchdowns.
I'm joking around. I really do want him to do good, man. I don't want to see him fail because he went so high, and I think he had an unfair situation, especially against us Eagles fans, the Eagles organization, and things like that. I hope he just get a fresh start, like I said yesterday, and then he just turn up. I don't know if it's going to be with the Vikings, but it's going to be with a team.
Who, Reagor?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be with them, but he could go somewhere else. And, but he just needed that fresh start to get out of the link and Novacare, things like that, and just clear his mind.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree that he needed a fresh start. I do want to see him do well, but not well enough to be like, golly, not another one. Come on,
No,
man.
he's gonna do. He if anything, his ceiling is Nelson Aguilar.
Nelson, okay. I mean, well, if it's the third year,
when he left us,
he did had a good year with the Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. That's why the Patriots signed him to a big contract, and he just went back to Nelson Aguilar. But he's still a decent number 3 wide receiver. You know what I mean? And that's all we was asking Reagor to do, just be a number 3 wide receiver. But the fans, I'm so glad the man is out. We are a clean slate, but we need to be much smarter in these next few years with these picks, though. I agree.
I got
William. Go ahead.
One question, and I seen this on Twitter, and then I said it myself. Isn't that ironic that J-Jaw got traded to the Seattle Seahawks where DK played at, and then
I just said that. Yeah, exactly. With the Justin Jefferson.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
I mean, that is how we being either ruthless or an ass. He was like, y'all fans always, I've been listening to y'all. DK Metcalf for JJ, go ahead, JJ, go over there. Reagor, Justin Jefferson, going over there. I mean, I think Howie.
The Vikings got
is a little weak. Yeah, and they got Tay Godwin, but I mean, we're stacked already at the DB position, so I didn't really see, him doing anything. Just tuning in, listen to Reagor, the Vikings spill facts. Russell Wayne, this is the Eagles guy. He's great. Okay, Reagor, mine just doesn't seem to be on NFL wide receiver. I mean, I guess only time will tell.
Yeah,
but the audio is good, man, and we ain't hearing feedback for sure. Oh, my bad. Reagor won't control the fumble of catches and develop a lot more aggressiveness. We'll see, man. William, he's spitting facts. Reagor only was elevated because of a combine. Yeah, that's it. And look, a lot of teams fall into this trap. A lot of teams fall into this combine, the speed. Oh my God, he's strong. And all of a sudden, what was that one dude that we drafted out of Mizzou? I think Marcus Smith. Yeah. This dude that we drafted, like trash, but he had a good combine, had a good senior year. Come on, man, just take your time, listen to your scouts. You pay scouting departments, listen to them. We would not have been in this situation, but how we fix it. It took, people make mistakes all the time, right? It takes a big person to admit when they're wrong and fix it. Howie Roseman went in this all season. He went in this all season with the mindset, I'm going to undo everything I've done the past couple of years. I'm going to give the Eagle fans everything that they asked for. I'm going to get rid of Reagor, J-Jaw. I'm going to give him a DB. I'm going to give him a number 1 wide receiver. I'm going to give him some linebackers. I'm giving him some safety. And now I'm going to sit back and see if it was me or, Howie is out to prove that maybe he was smarter than everybody else, but he's going to be wrong. He's going to be dead wrong.
I'm not going to lie. When he signed that extension, I was like, why? Why did he sign that extension? And then the NFL draft happened. Then the offseason came. And I'm like, okay, free agency came. And I'm like, okay. And then the icing on top, we got CJ. That's the icing on top. And we got rid of dead weight in J-Jaw. And then Yeah, we just got rid of the dead weight. So now it's a fresh start, clean slate for both sides of those players, the players in our team. And we can focus on the players that we do have, the 53-man roster, man. I'm happy
Yeah,
that
we're gonna hit that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. And the practice squad. We're gonna hit
okay.
that practice squad a little bit. I'm trying to
But
get to this
yeah,
question real
how he
quick.
been doing this thing, man? He might be. I'm calling it. I called it on my video.
What?
He's the best GM in right now.
I mean,
Honestly,
yeah.
making his moves, making
I
those
mean,
moves.
you have Cowboys bloggers like tweeting the Eagles. Man, how do they do it? How he get picks for Reagor that people knew that he did not want and still got more picks than Cooper did because Howie is a sneaky little rat. Howie is sneaky. When you least notice, he jump up and just that's why though I think that the Miles Sanders is really in trouble. I tweeted out today. I think that Miles Sanders might be in trouble because you don't see it coming, but there's no contract extension yet. Howie usually is good with giving guys contract extension right before the season starts or early in the season. So if Miles Sanders can't get on the field within the first few weeks, he may not be here midway through the season when the trade deadline comes. He might be traded. So I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that Miles could heal up very quick. I'm hoping they are just keeping him out until week 1, and then bam, he makes it all through 17 game season, have over 1,200 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. We signed him to a team friendly 3-year deal. Let's see. But that's wishful thinking, though.
Miles Sanders is giving me a headache right now, man, because he didn't practice today either. That hamstring thing is iffy. It's 50-50. It could be serious. It cannot be serious. It could be to the point where they just being precautious. But we're getting into the next week of things, whereas though it's game week. It's week 1, and he still hasn't really practiced yet, man. It's been almost over a month, and we haven't seen him carry the ball since me and you went to the open practice. So I don't know what to say. I don't really know. I'm a huge Miles Sanders advocate. I think that injury just got the best of him, and I think that he deserves one of those years where as though that he can prove that he's one of those guys, the running backs that, because, it was 5.5 yards per carry. He's sitting up here, that guy, he was the guy since college, and now he's just injury prone, and it's frustrating to see that your number one, the RB1, is going down injury after injury after injury, and then we got to get Jordan Howard, or we got to get some other guy to the point where it's like, all right, well, until Miles Sanders come back, then this, and then the Eagles have shown so much support for him to the point where now it's like, what do you do now? You got to look out for the organization at the end of the day. So who are we to sit up there and say, oh, Miles Sanders deserves an extension if he doesn't produce well? I think that he could, but he has to stay healthy. This is why I don't know what his regimen is in the offseason. I don't know what it is, his eating habits or something. Something is wrong with Miles Sanders' workout regimens, and it needs to change if he's going to remain an Eagle.
Well, if I'm Miles Sanders, I'm firing my trainer. I mean, because you are hired to help me train throughout the offseason, but also I'm firing my nutrition. You are hired to I guess help me find the right meals to put in my body to help my body develop the way it's supposed to be. To be that young and to be constantly having soft tissue injury, which is the worst type of injury to have because it will always constantly come back. You know what I mean? So Miles Sanders, I think that next week is a big telltale. If he doesn't practice next week, he might be out for week 1. But the Eagles did sign a running back on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Perrin up from the Jets. Michael Perrin or something like that. He's about like Oh, he's about 5'10", 215. You know what I mean? Like he's supposed to be kind of a bruiser, but I'm not, putting too much stock into it. But we'll see. The Vikings might know how to use Reagor. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. We'll just have to see.
They're going off. So what I heard with the Vikings, they're going off of him. When he was in college, he was a good kick returner and things like that. So they're going to use him there first, and then see where they could use him at in the offense.
Yeah, I
still
agree.
got to know the playbook and everything. So.
Yeah, I agree. Man, JP was getting killed in Chicago. I mean, he was the 20th ranked left tackle. So, I mean, he was good enough to be a starting left tackle in an NFL for X amount of games. The Cowboys are banged up. They hurt in that wide receiver position last year that they were so deep at with Tyron Smith out and Collins out. They need an infusion. JP got to work. Yeah, I mean, look, hey, JP, he make the team. To me, that's not, and I'm like, oh my God, the Cowboys are so much better. To me, he makes the team. He just add on to the penalties that the Cowboys are going to get because he lost a few steps, not a step, but he lost a few steps. So Reagor about to ball the fuck out. Watch, he's a wide receiver 3 with an animal in the backfield. Reagor was wanted dead by. Reagor was wanted dead by the Philly fans before he got there. He never got. Look, Reagor came into a bad situation. JJ Arcega-Whiteside came into a bad situation, but they weren't mentally tough enough to be Philadelphia Eagle players or Philly players. Period. The city of Philadelphia is not for the weak. I'm going to keep on saying it until I'm blue in the face. The city of Philadelphia is not built for the weak. Ain't no sport, no baseball, no football, no basketball. It doesn't matter what sport you play. If you stink, the fans going to let you know. The media is going to ask you some tough questions. It's up to you. It's really up to you to know exactly. I mean, are you fit or not? I mean, do you want to be there or not? But Gallup is not actually out, Greg. But Gallup is actually on the 53-man roster. He has cleared. So Michael Gallup is not out for the Cowboys. He actually got cleared to the 53-man roster. I've been begging for some linebackers for 2 years. Yep.
Well, we got him.
Now we got him. And now we got him. We got a lot of linebackers. I hope we can make it to a Super Bowl and hope we can play the Bengals and spank that booty. Tired of the fans. I better back down. DeAndre Smith or Miles Sanders. I mean, it's a push for me. I mean, like Miles Sanders, like at one healthy, he's a top 10 back. I believe. I believe he could be higher, but it's all when healthy. But all right. Look, enough of this real quick. We about to put up the practice squad real quick, man. The Eagles practice squad. Maybe about the time that this was printed out, there might have been some more people added on. But I believe there's only 16. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think it's 15.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So maybe that running back that the Philadelphia Eagles picked up is the number 16 on the practice squad. So, like, the practice squad is out. I mean, we basically got everybody back. Anthony Harris was the biggest shocker for me that he came back because he is a veteran. You know what I mean? I really don't see him being on practice squad, but you can never have too much depth at safety. So talk to me about this practice squad roster that you see right here.
Man, I'm just happy that all the receivers that needs a second chance are back. The Deion Keynes, the Britton Coveys, the Devin Allens. Like, I'm just happy they're back because I feel like that, honestly, keep it 100, this season, this off season, training camp and preseason, I think Deion Keynes had a better training camp and everything than Jalen Reagor. I don't know why he made we know now because they had plans on trading. I mean, getting him out of here. But at the end of the day, I think Deion Kane deserved one of those roster spots over a Reagor because of what he produced this offseason. I understand this is his third year. He knows the playbook and everything like that. But at the same time, like Deion Kane been hungry. He's been hungry, and then Covey, he's good at kick return. Things that we didn't see from Jalen Reagor for the last couple of years. And then on top of that, he's a good route runner. You said it yourself that he's like Wes Walker and a younger Cole Beasley, something like that. Like he can route run with the best of them, especially short routes. Devin Allen, he's always known for his speed. So I'm happy that he's back because he got a lot to learn. And I think that he's going to develop here being a guy that, was hyped that he got signed with the Eagles. So I'm happy he's back. Reed Sinnett, honestly, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know why, but, they see something in him. I know he got good arm strength and everything like that, but he didn't really show nothing really too much except for the game against I want to say the Browns, and that's only because of that play to Devin.
Get that one pass.
yeah. So maybe they said there's hope for him, and but we did sign with Ian Books or something like that.
Yeah, Ian Book. Yeah,
from the Saints. So we got 3, and then now he's the one in the chamber basically. So now, if we get short, then he's going to step up into the roster.
Yeah, look, the 50-man roster. I love Allen. I love that we brought him back. The Kenny Brooks. I love that we brought him back because remember that Boston Scott came off the practice squad and he was our savior back in 2019. So I love that Covey, he's back. Because I feel like either Covey or Kane will be elevated to the 52-man roster because we need a returner. I mean, we have no returner right now. Reagor or Quez Watkins was supposed to be the returner. Now, guess what? With Reagor is gone, I really think that Covey might come on the 52-man roster. But also keep this in mind. During game day, right, the Eagles could bring up 3 practice squad players to be on the active roster. So, Kane might still be on the active roster during game day. So who knows? I love the fact that Anthony Harris came back. I mean, because I love him as a safety. I never saw him getting cut. When he got cut yesterday, I was like, what? Mm-hmm. What are they thinking? And then we got CJ. But, just like our special guest we had earlier, CJ played a lot of nickel. Mm-hmm. So you always have that insurance policy with Anthony Harris. Senate, I don't know. I mean, you always need a quarterback on the practice squad to help the second team, whatever it is. But just in case an injury happens, God forbid, so that you still have 3 quarterbacks that know your system. That's the only reason. That's the only reason why I see him coming back. So besides that, man, everybody else was okay. But the main one, Kane, Covey, Harris, I love those guys. Kenny Brooks, he's a little bit bigger back too, so he came back. But I mean, it's all right. I'm just glad that nobody else. We did lose a couple, though. I went to the Giants. Tay Godwin went to the Vikings. So we did lose a few guys on the practice squad. So Reed is trash. Should have gave Carson Strong at least some more reps. Look, the coaching staff are with these guys every day. We don't know what they didn't saw in Carson Strong, so they let him go. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day they might bring him back. Not a lot of these guys that's getting cut release are getting signed by other players, but we never know. Covey, Kane, Allen, all in good in their own rights. Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
I'll bring up Allen to be the gunner on special teams. Nah, because that's a slot taken away from one of the wide receivers. Like, I mean, Like our linebacker. Matter of fact, we about to talk about the linebacker real quick because a shocker happened today that I did not see coming. Davion Taylor released today. That was a shocker to me. I mean, did you see this coming?
No, not at all. When they said that, they was like another roster move, and it said Davion Taylor. I said, why? I didn't really get to read too much into it, but I'm like, what was the thought process in that? Like, I don't understand that because that's taken away from that strength of that roster for the linebackers in Davion Taylor. So I just don't understand it. I was shocked, but I was waiting for them to talk about it, but they never talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did not see that coming. His speed, his aggressiveness, you can't find that anywhere. But and maybe they have Bradley was a big, that's one of the fan favorites was Bradley with Reddick, with Kaiser White, with TJ Edwards, with Nakobe Dean. We have enough linebackers, but if he gets picked up by somebody and end up being a Pro Bowl, I'm going to be pissed off. Like, you know what I mean? Because you drafted the guy 2 years ago, and before he even had a chance to develop, you release him. But that's what the Eagles are known for, in my opinions. But let's change that to the 53-man roster because we are trying to get out of here. We did have a special guest. It took a little bit of time, which I don't regret at all because he definitely gave us some insight on, CJ, what type of player he's about, the toughness that he brings to the team, and so forth. So let's talk about the 53-man roster. All right, so you got your two quarterbacks, but they did claim, in book, so he automatically went on the 53-man roster. So now the Philadelphia Eagles have three quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. How do you feel about them, carrying three quarterbacks?
I thought that the whole time that they was going to carry three quarterbacks, man, but I didn't think that it would be Reed Sinnett. I just thought that Reed Sinnett, especially that last preseason game, that they were trying to see what they had in him before they made that decision. I thought that Carson Strong was, just because he didn't play, I thought they was just going to give him like more reps in practice and things like that to build him up. I didn't think they were going to cut both of them before bringing Sinnett back. I already thought that he was going to come with three, but I don't know too much about Ian Book, but I heard
you saw him play last year.
We did?
Yeah. He played against, I think his first start was against probably the Cowboys last year because of an injury that happened to Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill got injured, yeah.
So
number 16.
Yeah, we saw him play last year. That was his first start. And
so Scott actually said that he's a better pocket and he has a better pocket and arm. And they would like to see him against Carson Strong.
Okay. I mean, look, I have to take it with a grain of salt because I saw him play against the Cowboys with no reps at all. He just was thrown to the wolves. So I can't just judge him off of one game. But maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe the Philadelphia Eagles have planned for Gardner-Minshew trade, a trade for Gardner-Minshew. Gardner-Minshew, to me, he could easily be a starter in the NFL. So why are you going to have Sinnett on the practice squad? In book, especially if you could groom him before the trade deadline, to be a decent backup. Now, Gardner-Minshew is on his last year of his deal. So he's definitely not going to re-sign with Philadelphia. He's not going to have it because he wants to be a starter. So why not? We all know Howie. He always have a plan. And I guarantee you, if Gardner-Minshew is on this roster midway through the trade deadline, he will get traded. Gardner-Minshew, to me, will get traded by the end of the season. As long as Ian Book and Sinnett, happen to pick up the playbook, and God forbid that Jalen Hurts, anything happened to Jalen Hurts, he played a whole season. Why do you need Minshew for? Especially when you could get value for him this season, right?
Yeah,
I mean, do
yeah,
you
I agree.
see a scenario like that happening?
I do. But it got to be the right scenario because I know Howie doesn't bite on any trade
Oh yeah,
talks and rumors until it's the right situation. And I think the organization likes Gardner Minshew enough to give him that respect to the point where it's like, okay, well, this team wants you as a starter because they man went down, or hey, they need a backup because their guy's iffy right now. So I think they will put him in the right situation. They wouldn't do him dirty like that. At the same time, um, it's a slippery slope because you want that backup just in case of Jalen Hurts. You need that insurance.
yeah.
So I can see it happening. Will it happen? Only time to tell. I can't really call it right now. I just think that we have a strong backup. I know that Gardner Minshew likes it here because of all the love that our fan base gave him. So we'll see. We'll see
Yeah,
if
but
that
also
happens.
he was the guy that went into Nick Sirianni office last year talking about I want to start over Jalen Hurts, and Nick kicked
No.
him out. So I'm telling you, this dude, he's hungry to be a starter again. Not every quarterback that leaves the Philadelphia Eagles system, go out and have success. Nick Foles, he only has success under the Philadelphia Eagles system, regardless who's the coach or not. Maybe there's something about Eagles developing quarterbacks better than any other positions. Like, you know what I mean? So I definitely could see Howie Roseman, especially next year. We already got 2 first-round pick, a second-round pick, possibly 2 second or 2/3, one of them. So I got check it out. But I definitely could see Gardner Minshew getting traded midway through the season, especially if an injury happened to another starting quarterback. Just a perfect opportunity to fleece somebody again. We already know Howie is the fleece king, hashtag fleece king. So I would not be shocked at all if Minshew is not on this roster midway through the season. So let's go on to the running backs real quick. The running back situation, we have KG, you know what I mean, Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. Do you see us going into every game with only 3 running backs or possibly a 4th one? Or are you okay with just going on with 3?
In the beginning of the season, it's going to be the 3 running backs that you just named. I think that throughout the season, that's where we're going to see stuff trickle down, and we're going to pick up somebody because we're going to have to. If um, our the running back on the practice squad does not measure up, we're going to pick up somebody. But as of right now, I'm going into the season. It's going to be these 3 guys, at least for the quarter of the season.
Okay, all right.
I see that
Darlene.
Darlene post.
Darlene was like, you don't even have a 4 start over the quarterback. I don't understand that, but I'm going to read it anyway. You don't even have a 4 start over the quarterback, and he might be just a backup, number 1, or number 2. Oh, hold your quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's not very good. I don't know who you're really talking about. I mean, are you a Jalen Hurts fan or not? Do you
Kind of.
think that that Minshew is better than Jalen Hurts? Are you referring to Jalen Hurts or what?
So the next one says your quarterback sucks. You're
Probably going to
probably
be
going to be better
okay.
than
All
Jalen
right,
Hurts.
I see what you're talking about. All right, so he's referring to she's referring to that Minshew should possibly be the starter because think that Minshew is better than Jalen Hurts. I mean, we all have our own opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. But to me, what you can't look. Gardner Minshew, the 1 starts against the Jets, have people fooled. This dude could not get out the pocket. He was getting sacked. If you watched last season, please go back and watch last season. A lot of time the pocket was collapsing and Jalen Hurts had to get us out in trouble. You put Minshew back there, it's a lot of 3 and outs, and our defense once again was not very good last year, or was put in compromised positions because of Jonathan Gannon bad play calling that they were on the field a lot last year. So if you put a guy like Minshew back there, a lot of 3 and outs, who knows what might happen. But this upcoming season, we all agree this is Jalen Hurts last year. If he doesn't show us anything, we're not losing anything. You know what? This team is set. This team is set on all 3 levels, offense, defense, and special teams. We'll see how it turns out. To only drop a quarterback in, either free agency or the draft next year. We have the capital to go draft one, move up in the draft, or go out and get a free agent. So we don't know how many good quarterbacks that's going to be out there. But we all agree this is Jalen Hurts. Prove it year. We all know that. I'm not blind. Like, I'm not saying Hurts is the only reason why I'm not saying Eagles to the Super Bowl. And I've always said the same thing, and I keep it 100. The only reason why I'm not saying the Eagles will go to the Super Bowl is the quarterback position to me, because he has to prove to me that he's capable of throwing guys open, under pressure, just stay in the pocket a little bit longer. I love Jalen Hurts, but I'm also not blind. I want to win another Super Bowl. We have all the pieces set, so I'm not blind with this. So if he doesn't work out, would I be disappointed that we got to move on from him? Absolutely. But would I cry and not be an Eagles fan no more? Hell no. King?
So, Darlene.
Appreciate you, Eagle man.
You really don't know what you're talking about with the Gardner-Minshew thing, because Jalen Hurts is at least better than Gardner-Minshew. Let's start there. Secondly, yes, we're realistic, but we're rallying behind Jalen Hurts because we want him to win. We want him to win because when he wins, we win. As Eagles fans, as the Eagles organization, we win because he's successful. His leadership is unmatched, especially against a Gardner-Minshew. He's a dual threat, so he's more athletic than Gardner-Minshew. The only question mark that he has is being accurate, being able to see the field and everything like that, survey the field. And the Eagles didn't give us enough video of that. Yeah, me and JC were one of the two other people that were at the open practice, but we really didn't see too much. We did see that big play to AJ Brown and things like that, but nevertheless, he has to be more consistent. He said it himself. He has to be consistent. He has to survey the field. He has to get his guys open so they can make plays. And he cannot lose his superpower in being a dual threat, being able to scramble and things like that. So if he's doing all those things, we'll be okay. I don't even think that he's the biggest question mark on our team. He's not.
Jonathan Gannon.
Jonathan Gannon is the biggest question mark on our team because Jonathan Gannon said last year that his weakness was he didn't have the right players. Now you do. We know the talent that he has. Now, we know what all these guys can do individually and together. If you bring that thing together, we need to see why the other teams are looking at you as a head coach, a candidate. So you got to put all this together. If you're not putting all this together by mid-season, I swear Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman need to be looking at him like, yo, you're on the hot seat, because it don't make no sense. Anybody can come in here, any defensive coordinator with experience can come in here and make us a top 3 defense. Right now, we're at top 5.
Yeah. I mean, look. If you're watching right now in the chat, all right, I had a special guest on yesterday, Football Outsider, Aaron Schwartz, and he brought up a good point. A lot of people just say the same thing. If Jimmy G could drag the 49, could be on board and take the 49 to a Super Bowl and a divisional round, a conference championship, right? Why can't Jalen Hurts do the same exact thing? Nobody asked Jimmy G to be like a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or a Josh Allen, just throw them to victory. All they ask Jimmy G to do is don't F up the game for us. Just be a game manager. But Jalen Hurts is more than a game manager. So imagine that. If Jimmy G could take the 49ers to the Super Bowl, and then last year take them to the divisional round, and beat the Cowboys, beat Green Bay. You know what I mean? At Green Bay. So why can't Jalen Hurts at least be a Jimmy G level type of quarterback? That's all we're asking him to do. I'm not asking him to be Superman or anything like that. He just needs to improve a little tiny bit. You know what I mean? Just take a little step, like 10% better than last year, and we could go far based on all the players that we got this offseason and through the draft, and but coaching is the biggest hurdle for this team. We don't know if Shane Steichen is going to call more screens, more run plays, more pass plays, open the playbook up. We don't know if Jonathan Gannon, he's going to be aggressive, what kind of scheme he's going to run. We don't know how all these players is going to come together on the defensive side. We're just hoping, just based on the talent that we acquire, on paper, the Eagles are the best team in football on paper because they have depth in a lot of positions that a lot of teams don't. But this is a proven year for a few players. And if we don't make it this year, this team is still set up for the long haul. So look, whatever happens, but I know this team. I feel good about our chances this year. I feel good about it, but I need to see it besides week one. Last year we had a great week one, and then the Wolves came off. So I need to see it besides
Darlene, I already knew. I knew that you were a Cowboys fan. Just because you don't know what you're talking about, you're a Cowboys fan. I knew it. I mean, you must like the Cowboys. You said that we're going to get swept this year, Darlene.
Yeah. But it's all right, though. Look, hey, Darlene, look, I love having other fans on this show to get their opinions because at the end of the day, look, I sit here all day. I do play-by-play, and I'll be getting win or lose, I'm here. So feel free to drop on by when we play the Cowboys or any other team because I ain't going nowhere. I'm here for the long haul. Let me see. She don't know what she's talking about. Eagles, man, Gardner-Minshew has limited talent and physical attributes. Yeah, look, I agree. He's just a Gardner-Minshew type of guy. A Gardner-Minshew is a little bit I won't say like Nick Foles because he did win us a Super Bowl, right? He caught, he caught fire at the right time and took us to a Super Bowl. But he's more like the Nick Foles before he took us to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like he's really not mobile. He's gonna get the ball out, on time, open or not. He believes he's got he's gonna be there. And a lot of times that could end up really, really bad. You watch Joe Dean will be the leaders of the defense after the young beast. Yeah, I agree. We have a lot of good talent on this team. Eagles will miss the playoffs if Minshew was a full-time starter. I really don't think so. I really do not think they're going to miss the playoffs, if Minshew was a starter. I do not think so. I think because the defense is good enough to keep us in games, unlike last year. But King, your face was like, So what's it? I mean, you think if Minshew was a full-time starter?
With that question, it's a trick question because at the same time, we were just sitting up there saying, well, I was saying up there saying that Jalen Hurts is better than Minshew and everything like that. But that question was basically saying if Minshew was a starter, which means that with this team that we got now, it's basically plug and play. Whereas though we're not even giving Jalen Hurts that chance to sit up there and make that. Everybody's going to play for one another, but at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is the leader. So it's not going to be the same dynamic with a Gardner-Minshew. It's not because he's not going to bring that. He's going to bring a better arm, a better accuracy, things like that. But he's not going to bring that dynamic of, hey, I could get to the first down line, just so we can move the chains. He's not going to do that with his legs. He's not going to sit up there and make the defense have to guess because he can't scramble. He can't scramble. It's not a plug and play. Like, I'm not going to down Hurts like that. Yes, I'm with you with the whole this year he has to show up and show out. Even if he's a tad bit better, if we're better than 9-8, that man deserves another year, especially if he wins us some games. Now,
we gotta be like 12-5 11-6.
It'd be 11-6 or 12-5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come
Because
on, man.
you're in the playoffs
Yeah,
and possibly have a home playoff game. You know what I mean?
right.
Depending who you playing. So, absolutely. I got the Bills and 49ers, and I'm like a Cowboy fan at the Super Bowl, I believe. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys going to be better this year, and I believe that we had a couple of players will be going to the Super Bowl, wishful thinking, 26 years and counting. So I'm assuming that you under 26. That's probably why you're hoping to see one, but good luck with that. You're not a top five. Dallas Cowboys will beat you twice this year, at least split with the division. Okay, I mean, I never said that we was going to sweep anybody. I don't think we're going to sweep the Cowboys. I think we're going to split with the Cowboys, sweep the Giants, maybe split with the Commanders. So we'll be 4-2 in the division. So we'll see. And Jimmy G always getting too. And Jimmy G always is getting so much hate. Like I like the guy. I mean, look, Jimmy G, he's a game manager. I mean, that's who he is, and that's why the 49ers were so limited in their playbooks that they went to get a carbon copy of Jalen Hurts, a guy that could run the ball and throw the ball. But we'll see. Your guys has improved. Either game manager, so I'm a Cowboy fan. It's not you got overrated players. All I hear is a lot of apps. I don't know. Kaepernick took the 49ers to the Super Bowl as a two-threat quarterback, then took the 49ers to the NFC Championship game the next year against Russell Wilson. Seahawks, another dual-threat quarterback. That is correct. You're dreaming the Buffalo Bills, 49ers, the Rams are way better than them, and the Dallas Cowboys are still better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Your dream is too much. All right, she's funny. Absolutely, man. But it's all good. And which was it? The 2014 season where the 49ers played the Seahawks NFC Championship game. Yeah, exactly. To get their opinion because we did sweep y'all last year, right? Yeah, right. I think that's what she meant, right?
That last game, we had our third string in, and y'all had Dakota Prescott and all of them in too. So yeah, you could count it as a sweep, but we didn't really play our starters because we were already in the playoffs. But go ahead.
Prescott, quarterback for Dallas Cowboys, is the best quarterback in our division. Okay, cool. Nina, 13-4. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. You're dreaming, dude. I wish the Cowboys would win the Super Bowl every single year, but that ain't going to happen. Philadelphia. I mean, you saw us win the Super Bowl. That's what I can say about you.
During the Cowboys not win the Super Bowl 2 decades straight.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so hey, let's run to this roster real quick again. The wide receiver position: AJ Brown, Zach Pascal, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. Who do you see the fifth wide receiver being? Because I really think that we're gonna carry 5 on the 53-man roster, and then possibly bring 1 up on game.
They gotta be between Kane and Covey. It has to be for the 2 things that they can do. Now, if I'm a guessing man, I think that Covey's going to get that slot only because of what he can do.
Yeah. Agree. So 3 tight ends on the roster: Grant Calcaterra, Dallas Goedert, and Jack Stahl. There's no issue there, right?
No.
All right. So there's 10 offensive linemen: Leonard Dickerson, Andre Dillard, Driscoll, Lane Johnson, Jurgens, Kelsey, Mariota, Opeta, Samalu, and Josh Sills.
There's no issue there at all.
Yeah. So we good.
You can't get mad at the top ranked offensive line. So
you cannot. You cannot. The defensive line, there's 9 on the defensive line: Barnett, Cox, Davis, Brendan Graham, Hargrave, Terrion Jackson, Josh Sweat, Tupulu 2, and Milton Williams. So, I mean, there's no question there for me.
No.
I think this defensive line is going to be a beast, especially with Davis and Cox rotating. I really think Cox and Davis is going to be rotating, and Milton Williams and Hargrave is going to be a rotating. We will always have depth. We will always have fresh bodies to go into the fourth quarter. That's when we go after the quarterbacks. Linebackers, there's 8 linebackers on the roster right now. As a matter of fact, Bradley, Dean, TJ Edwards, Kerryon Johnson, Patrick Johnson, Hassan Reddick, Kaiser White, and we let go of Davion Taylor. So do you see them? So do you see the Eagles only keeping 7 and possibly that's where you get your other wide receiver position from to actually bring 6 up? Or do you see them trying to get another linebacker, which I don't think they can?
It's about week to week. I really believe that it depends on the health of the linebackers, because like we were praying so much for a linebacker core like this. Now we have it. You don't want you can go into the season with 7 and bring in a wide receiver, but then whoever's not, it's easy to plug in another linebacker when as the season goes on, because somebody's not going to be a factor, and they can let them go or put them down onto the practice squad, and then we can sign someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I really think 7 linebackers is more than enough with Bradley, Dean, Edwards, the 2 Johnsons, the Patrick Johnson, Kerryon Johnson, Hassan Reddick, and White. I don't think that we need another linebacker. I think we're going to use that position for to bring up an extra wide receiver or an extra running back. So we'll see. But I think we're really set at linebacker. That was my biggest fear, who was going to leave at the linebacker position, but Davion Taylor. So the cornerbacks, Bradbury, Josh Jobe, Maddox, McPherson, Josiah Scott, and Darius Slay.
I don't have no issues with it, honestly. Zach McPherson, I like him a lot. Josh Jobe, man, hard-hitting cornerback. I like him a lot too, man, because I come from that era where as though that our secondary was hitting as hard as the front 7. So I like that a lot. So I don't have no problems with the cornerbacks.
All right, the safeties. We got Reed Blankenship, Marcus Epps, CJ, Chauncey, Gardner-Johnson. We just picked up in Kevon Wallace. I mean, would you trade Kevon Wallace out for Anthony Harris?
Yes.
Or would you just leave? You would, right?
Yes.
I would so also, because I really think that Kevon Wallace might actually go down to the practice squad, and then Anthony Harris get elevated to a 52-man roster. That's what I think might happen, because Kevon Wallace, to me, he can't stay healthy, and he seems to be out of position a lot. So,
right,
I don't know.
I've seen that a lot in the preseason, man. But hey,
right. So
I don't know how he got over Anthony Harris, but they probably seen something else in him.
Yeah, and our special teams kickers and stuff like that, Jake Elliott, Rick Lovato, and Scipio. So I mean, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are in great shape. But before I answer these last few questions, please, if you're watching, it's been an hour and 33 minutes. We're about to wrap up. Please make sure you hit that like button for both of us. All right. The link is in the chat. Please. If you watch on King's ZV channel, just go to my channel, hit that link. And if you're watching on my channel, you already know King DV. We here every Wednesday, especially when the season starts. We're going to have a lot more great shows. So, and you not want to miss it. But let me see here real quick. I lost my spot where I was at. All right. And this is, and we're about to answer these questions and we're about to get out of here. The way the Dallas wins is when Jerry Jones, I don't want to say die, that's when wrong, Jerry Jones retire and the Jones family get rid of the team. Okay. All right, Darlene, I have seen the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl. I'm 45 years old and my name ain't Darlene. That's my mom. I've seen them win all 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. All right, well, my bad. I mean, I can only read the name that's popping up on the screen. My bad. I apologize. But hey, go ahead.
But that's when, we had like the TVs and the antenna broke, so you had to use the hanger. That was back then. when y'all won the Super Bowl. What about now? You know, it's about to be 26 years.
Yeah.
You know, went there.
Yeah.
You know, and y'all said Tony Romo was going to do it. Y'all said Dakota. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but you know, I'm happy that you've been a football fan for as long as you have.
Yes, sir. Eagle man, I say 12-5, 11-6 season for the Eagles with one playoff win. That's my prediction, and I think that's an accomplishment for Hurts and the Eagles. If that happens right there, one playoffs win, 11-6 or 12-5, I believe that Jalen Hurts will get a contract extension, or he will go into his last year. But they don't have to sign Hurts this offseason, by the way, because this is Hurts, third year or fourth year?
Yeah.
Yeah, his third full year because he only started for 4 games his rookie year for Carson Wentz. He started a full season last year. So this is actually his third full year. So he doesn't have to have a contract extension. But if you know the quarterback market, it's only going to go higher and higher and higher. So if Hurts could take us to a playoff, win a game, move on to the divisional round, you might want to pay him before the following year where he actually take us to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So Davis is straight beast, facts. Darlene is a Cowboy fan. What she's doing on here. Look, man, hey, I'm an equal opportunity, man. I love Cowboy fans, Giants fans, Washington fans. It doesn't matter to me. You know why? Because this is what football is about. Talking trash to each other, as long as you respectful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with the trash talking. I'm fine with it. That's how life works. Like you can't be like just Eagle fans and stuff like that. I mean, there's not that much Eagle fans in the world, but there's football fans. Mm-hmm. There's divisional fans. There's our conference fans. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We bring all fans on. And anytime y'all see the link drop on fan night, regardless what fan y'all are, Giants, Cowboys, whatever, hit that link. Come on, talk your trash, and I would love to debate you as much as I can. We have Michael Parsons. He's a great linebacker since the New York Giants linebacker. Look, I know about Michael Parsons more than you do because I'm a Penn State fan. I've been tracking Michael Parsons since Penn State days. So I understand you trying to compare him to LT, Lawrence Taylor. Don't go there yet because he is the GOAT of linebackers. LT is like on a pedestal by himself. Do not compare Michael Parsons yet to LT, but we will see. Dallas Cowboys got one last quarterback, number 7, had 11 in interception. We had some Michael Parsons. He's the next greatest linebacker since LT. Okay, I mean, all right, cool. I get it. Nope. I like Wallace more than Harris. Okay. Well Wallace, he's a big hitter, but that's how he get hurt too. You know what I mean? Right. Like he want to go in there, boom, and instead of like the technique. You know what I mean? Like he's always trying to deliver the kill blow. You know what I mean? Like you play to live another down, and that's why he's never on the field. Our defense is going to be better than Philadelphia Eagles Cowboys. Hey, look, that's why we played a game. That's why the game starts September 11th. The season starts. I know it starts September 8th, but none of us played that day. So September 11th, the season starts. Only got one fan here. That's the Cowboy fan. Hey, you representing, and I appreciate you. Wake up, you guys. 50 years when you first football, I was alive to see it. Look, better late than never. And guess what? Before you get 2, 3, 4, 5, you gotta get 1. Get the monkey off my back. Like Steve Young said, get the monkey off my back when he finally won his 1. So it's okay. We don't have to win 5 all at once. 1 at a time. That's all it takes. I hate the Cowboys in the 90s. Cunningham would have destroyed the Cowboys if he had the receivers. Even that being said, Eagles still beat those Cowboy dynasties in the 90s. Facts, agree. And you can call trash as long as you don't. You can talk trash as long as you don't go overboard. I agree with that. That's what I said. So I respect everybody for tuning in. King, we about to wrap it up, man. So, any last comments you have to say, man?
Man, we on here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock faithfully right now. You can just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and the link down below, and my Facebook, King DV Sports, all one word, on social media, on YouTube. It's the link is right down there below. I talk Eagles, I talk Sixers. Me and JC don't agree on basketball, but the Eagles is something that we agree upon on, and we can just talk and debate, what we see differently and whatever like that. That's what makes this the showdown. And I just enjoy doing this, man. And I just want everybody to, even if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, even if you're a Commander fan or a Giants fan, we welcome everybody, man. Because at the end of the day, we can talk trash, but we can do it respectfully and just enjoy watching the football games, man. Because I know for a fact, as an Eagles fan, that I'm going to be watching Week 1, Dallas versus the Bucks. So, what's that? Sunday night or Monday Night Football? One of them. So,
Sunday Night Football, Dallas versus Bucks at Jerry World. L.
We shall see.
All right. So, hey, look, of course, hey, man, tomorrow I will be live tomorrow with the Philadelphia Eagle Twitter handler on Twitter. If you go on the Philadelphia Eagle page on Twitter, Chris McPherson will be on here tomorrow at 7 to 7:30 p.m. He's taking the time out his busy schedule to be on here. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles some more. I'm going to get his take on what happened with Gardner and Reagor, and does Howie Roseman have any other aces up his sleeve? So all that will be discussed tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, tune in, and I will see y'all tomorrow. And please, please, please share this stream, like it, comment, because I try to answer every comment. The same thing with King. And we try to go back and forth all day on Twitter, all through the comment section. So just do us a favor, check it out. Until then, go Birds.